doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you are, whatever time it is when you listen to this. Welcome to my channel. All right, so I'm going to do this reading real quick, do a real quick little reading within the whole overall essence of like shifting emotions and what it is to be fruitful and things of that nature. If you in this pre-read, right, it will be talking about fortune and misfortune and different opportunities over the course of a year with one coming in with clarity or in that whole Gemini aspect, right? And how quickly things would come into place. One of the things it is that I saw, I was really happy to see was Phoenix Marvelous that she had posted and she had came up on my timeline again. It was like, oh yay, yeah, and she looking healthy and everything. That made me real happy. So that was it. Outside of it, rainy days, right? After the rain comes sunshine, right? And you need the rain in order to nurture you. And the singing in the rain, that was something that I was hearing while I was out and about. And sure, it's a saying, I don't know how it go, but it talks about having a partner and what it is to dance in the rain. And have you ever danced in the rain? And when you can't go to the river for cleansing, can you bring it to you? Or do you see it as it being brought to you? So that's that portion. Now, because something that kept coming up with the whole Uranus aspect is uh, different commercials and things of that nature that will come into place. Some of it I know will be in regards to Neptune, so different projections, spiritual and soul connections, how things expand, and what expansion is over the course of time. All right, so the overall essence of Two of Cups, love, within one looking inside themselves, and it being a completion, any expansion, within there being one coming in with an offer and waiting for one to come in with clarity. This is stuff that's known though about love. And over the course of 2 months. If you're looking at this for a time frame, it's gonna be about over the course of 2 months. And the introspection that comes into place with it and what happens with introspection with in some instances with teenagers towards Virgo Capricorn, and then others it's gonna be about the whole dynamic with how it is one would wait to come in with clarity or within coming in with clarity. Yeah, so that there will be a wish fulfillment for one going on another day within being a star. Star seeds. Hey y'all. I hope everybody doing all right. And the Aquarian aspect, humanitarian, going on another day as a humanitarian, and a star, and what the investment is within one acting on their instincts. Well, actually, it's to be more so the intuition to complete instincts and intuition to complete a cycle of rejection, or in April. A lot of this is given what it was that would have been set in place in February to take place in April. Or take place for April. It's given the whole what a strategy or a plan would have been. One of the things that was coming to me a lot though was how it is one would respond in regards to like with asking for assistance, asking for help, being left out in the cold. And if you in the military, so that's gonna be like Army, Air Force, Marines, and what it is that would have been nurtured about revealing a priestess and whether or not one can keep a secret in regards to there being happiness within one walking in one's inspiration of a wish fulfillment and there not being a tower moment or realistically it being some things that would have gone on underground. and there being conflict and the illusion. Some of it will be about conflict, some of it will be about different opportunities and the options, and how one would have options when they're attracted. Okay, so one of the things is, right, I said it before and I'll say it again. When it comes to having an option and attraction and law of attraction and law of detachment and things of that nature, a lot of times there's a misconception on what it is that would need to be attracted, or what essence it is that would be put out there so you could attract something to you, right? It's not always about the physical attributes that'll come into place. The other thing is, I will not deny that it would have been some love spells it is that would have happened, and some of this would have been earth magic and fire magic together. That's why we've been getting a whole bunch of Capricorn. Yeah, whoever it is that's been doing geomancy, it's geomancy and candle magic. No, because what this is giving is that it wouldn't be the person that you think it is. It'll be about the illusions or the options. And another thing that I say, when it comes to love, yeah, when other people try to, yeah, this is giving that whole matchmaker situation, how somebody will try and match you up with somebody on a romantic aspect. Y'all, in that regard, I say, y'all need to mind y'all business. I'm so serious. Yeah, for the whole love spells, and even in regards to it being about the different, how one waits to give clarity of their wishes being fulfilled. The other is going to be about the ending of the emotional cycles and the inspirations that come with being a humanitarian, and the Uranus aspect. So the planets we got that would be a part of this was what it was that took place in February, when I want to say when Uranus went retrograde, and how it went direct in Taurus. Yeah, and the different, yeah, and the happiness that would have come with walking opposed to riding. Walking underground. Walking around in the underground. Up. All right. Now, in the vision, premonition, and all that, it'll be about Queen of Coins, right? And what it is to be emotionally stable, to feel emotionally or financially stable, and what it is, the materialism and the materialism that'll come into place within one being unhappy with having to do some work. There you go. In regards to there being a judgment of there being balance, in regards to there being the physical abuse not manifesting. In the alchemical aspect, it'll be about a magician that works primarily with candle magic. The happiness that comes with when one works with candle magic versus working with earth or water. This is giving a lot of Capricorn essence, and one of the things that kept coming up in the whole Capricorn essence is, um, it's one of those, if you see that a particular way will work for you, but you may not do, so you may not practice in another form or sharpen your skills in another area. I'm hearing something about gauging and engagements. Some of it is going to be about in regards to speaking engagements. Others, it's going to be what it is that goes on with the leadership aspect over the course of 10 days. And how over 10 days one would be looking inside themselves. The other thing this is giving y'all is that whole dark night of the soul and what happens in the dark night of the soul. One of the things it is that I kept hearing over the course of these past couple days, right, was about how it is one would have been safe, whether yeah, especially in the whole love aspect, how it would have been safe to love a person, right, and how one would see, yeah, how one would see that the betrayal would be expanding, so that one could make an offer while it is they will wait for someone to come in with clarity, to waiting for this other person to come in. I'm hearing botched idea. One, okay, yeah, because this is some of the stuff that is that's kind of coming out. Within one, what would be clearing out with one not being a lover, possibly being a hater, or even not being a Gemini. If it don't fit, don't force it, right? If it does, don't ignore it. Uh, yeah, so what would be clearing out is the abuse, with one not being able to come in with clarity and there being this balance, and even what constitutes as the betrayal of being judged, or not judged, juggled by an empress within the incompletion of the cycle, and then there being this bad news with one in one's mind walking away, and there being, hold on, there being this abundance of emotion inside one's mind about the work, and one not moving in quickly, and the egotism that comes with the tradition of what goes on with being a queen of pentacles, or what goes on with the different offers and the collecting of information for balance or for justice. What it is that goes on in the justice aspect. Now, because what it is that will want to be said is that there will be recognition for a particular show that I'm not about to give recognition for. And that's part one. The other portion of it is how it is that one would manifest from their emotions and make their emotions come into direct being, or to make them whole, so to speak. Make them not whole, make them tangible, is what that's given. And it being a whole lot that will be clearing out. Clearing out or clear it out. Especially, yeah, some of the thoughts and actions. Thoughts and actions. Gemini is one of those. Gemini and Leo, they have similar uh, energetic makeups, right? But when you're talking about, like, say, for instance, yeah, because this is given zodiac magic, realistically. And like the Capricorn, that's fire and earth, or earth and fire. And then Taurus would be earth and water. And then Virgo would be earth and air. That's why when you get that Virgo essence and looking inside oneself, you'll get the similarities with Aquarius essence, and how it can slide easily into Sagittarius essence. So in short, pay attention, yeah, because this is given that there needs to be an awareness of what it is that will be uncovered as one will look inside themselves. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Yeah, that came from off of Empire with Jussie Smollett. But that's where the song would have come from. But heavy is the head that wears the crown. And what happens when there is abuse that wouldn't have been reported in the juggling of the Empress, or in the juggling of one's fruitfulness and fruitful nature. And the cycle being incomplete with bad news for the emperor, for that mindset. Now, in the respects of laughter with mathematics, what this is going to be talking about is the different veins that comes not only in the legs but in the arms. Legs, arms, different medications, and the thoughts, right? It'll be about the unconditional thought of one's willpower. What would drive a person to do something? Driving and driving force. And the egotisms that come at face value, right? The egotisms that come within the tradition of how it is one would provide justice to someone who would have collected information. In short, part of this is going to be about what it is that you will pay attention to. In that pre-read, what is given is in the whole projections aspect and the Neptune and all that, right? Like, for instance, one of the things it is that I noticed that has a tendency to happen with me posting on social media, yeah, a person would, if they don't like it's one of those, if I like what you post, I'll do something. If I don't like what you post, I won't. And they don't pay attention to the reality of varying situations. Yeah, and they don't even listen to what it is that will be going on. Yeah, so that would be some of the shit it is that will have her say what you have. So that'll be some of the reasons why a lot of people will have different issues and situations, especially in the contract, so to speak, with this whole murder of crows and there being conflict and shifting and how it is one would shift their inspirations. That's part of it. The other portion of it is, yeah, a lot of people don't like to pay attention. They consider love and looking for love online, basically, opposed to paying attention to what love really is right in front of your face. And whether or not there is commitments that would happen. Now, in the alchemical aspect, what will be coming in is the thoughts and things of that nature of one's actions, acting on what it is they thought about for 2 years. And then the completion of the cycle with there being good news. Within there being a policy that's according to the transcendental spiritual truth and beyond the shadow of the doubt. In short, how a policy is made or created. Some of this is going to be about the whole First Amendment situation. The other portion of it you're going to have to look at is the Second Amendment, Eighth Amendment. Yeah, when you're talking about law and what it is that's being weighed, the feather aspect, let me see. All right, with us just taking the cards surrounding, right, the Libra, or the Justice card, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. It'll be about the tradition that comes with being inside of one's mind for work, to work, or to do work. And then on this heart aspect, that's the air essence. And then in the heart of it, it'll be about the collection of information about the offers that will come into place with being a Queen of Pentacles. Emotionally stable. And if you have a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn moon, and it'll also be about the remembrance, the justice that comes with remembrance, or the balance that comes with one remembering what it is one would remember. Now, in the mind portion, the difference between dementia, Alzheimer, and the selective memory and selective reasoning. That's what that's going to be in regards to. And within one, not communicating, not doing what they feel. Within them looking inside themselves. Now, in regards to, how one could or would create a vision, and there being in October. What the hell did y'all do in October? That's pretty much what that boils down to. Yeah, and how it's thought that, from what I'm getting, yeah, because this must have been about the making a commitment for money versus making commitment for love. A lot of people feel like if you make a commitment for love, you can't have both love and money. So that's that portion. And with money, it's a simple, yeah, it's a more simple exchange. You, it's not as much emotional connection or attachment that comes into place with that. That's where that whole Aquarian and Uranus portion happens with like the spirit of being rebellious in an investment, in investing in what it is that one's actions would have in order to complete a cycle of being rejected. And I don't necessarily want to say rejection alone, because if this is going to be reflective of the vision of October, I just heard that shit should have been done with. It would have been done. Everybody didn't get the memo. Some people, yeah, some people got the memo. A lot of people intentionally did away with it and would do away with it because they would want for, and realistically, yeah, in the abusive aspect, how a person would feel like that the only way that they would be able to feel comfortable with doing something is if a person is being abused. I don't know what that's about, but that's something that's coming up. In October, realistically, yeah, that's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And that was something that was talked about. I know I definitely talked about it in October, and I talk about it every year. How you'll get a lot of people who would have a lot of different resources and things of that nature to depend on during that month. Not only is it for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, right, but it's also for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and understanding what starts the cycle of abuse is basically what that's given. That's that portion. The other part of it is going to be in regards to, on the one hand, there being the judgment, and on the other hand, it'll be about one being abusive or I heard sexual predators. Yeah, the whole sexual predator aspect. That be that whole R. Kelly shit. And if you play music, if one would play music or not, while they would be doing some, while they would be, uh, and what, yeah, it's giving like the whole soundtrack portion that I'm getting from it. Yeah, because you don't necessarily want to think about only Tina Turner wasn't the only person that suffered from domestic violence. That was just what was put on display, and a lot of people saw that as being love and shit. So what I'm getting from that is the whole, yeah, if a person would have only paid attention to what happened right with them, opposed to everything that happened before then, and how that's where that within that clearing out that egotism comes, because it's one of those as if everything starts and ends with you, and that don't be what it be about. It's not always about just no one person or no one thing. It'll be a combination of things, and that's the issue that comes with the place with when we bring up the whole juggling aspect versus one being balanced versus one expanding, and what the expansion is and what the expansion looks like. Yeah, and it's one of those in the spiritual contract, it would be a wish fulfillment under, and yeah, without, it's a wish fulfillment for the underground versus the wishes for being fulfilled within one looking inside themselves. One of the things that always happens in regards to money, right? Money and making money. Uh, a lot of people automatically believe that money realistically just falls from the sky like rain, and the essence and the energy for it can, but the actual materialization of it does not. Part one. Part two, you attract anything it is that you have on you. If you have no money, guess what? You're not going to attract any. So that's that part. The other portion of it is with what it is that will be going on with the underground, knowing that the underground's contract will require for a cycle being complete of rejection, and what it is that one would have nurtured in their emotions, what they would have paid attention to in their emotions. Yeah, the whole tell. What is given is telltale heart. The telltale heart. The tale of one's heart. Now, cause what is kind of coming to me is, yeah, it being, and one of the things that was coming was like in the past, right? How it is that when you would look at it as manifesting people to be around, and how that in itself would be a part of the abuse that would have come with Mercury retrograde. And it wouldn't have been about the atmosphere, it would have been about when one would have looked inside themselves. Yeah, in short, with the this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. And how someone would want you to shine your light. Primarily, yeah, because if you shine in your light, it's seen as a rejection to them because they haven't acknowledged what their light would be. Basically, is what this is given. Yeah, one of the things that I will say is if you know what your particular gifts are, because along this path, okay, I'm at 27 minutes. Let me hurry up and finish up, y'all. But along this path, right, what this is given is if you understand in the spiritual contract what what it is that you would be doing that would be causing conflict in the illusion. Right now, with the conflict and the illusion for wish fulfillments and there not being this massive upheaval and yeah, and not being this shocking and destroying thing. Yeah, you shouldn't always want to shock and appall people. That's kind of rude, and that's part of the reason why with Mercury retrograde, with their that will be the abuse of it. Yeah, if a person always wants it to be this major upheaval all the time, nobody does. I'm gonna tell you, yeah, no one does well with major upheavals. I don't give a shit what nobody says. Things changing like super suddenly and there's no notice and things that, yeah, that doesn't always work on either part. Right now, with being on the hermit path, that's what this is going to be talking about. When one is a priestess, right? Priestess, right? Divine feminine or not, but with her being this, being on a path of the hermit, there would be different betrayals that comes into place with expanding. In short, being traveling and moving to make offers. Yeah, that's the abuse of it is how a person will want you to stay put. It's like, why won't you just stay put? And it's one of those, yeah, it's one of those, who the fuck are you to tell me to stay put when this ain't your path? The path of the hermit, right? Sometimes it requires for you to go into the mountains. Other times it requires for you to go into the valleys. Either way it go, you'll be pulling out people who are dealing, or people different places and situations, right? That would need to end, and how the completion of the cycle that will come is a person not being able to look inside themselves and see what it is that would be illuminated about how one's wish fulfillment to be able to be on a humanitarian scale as an investment, it would be something that another person would reject. Just because, in short, just because you accept something doesn't mean that others would, i.e., with the whole destiny swapping shit, right? Yeah, a lot of people, this is unfortunately, right? A lot of people think they want to do what somebody else is doing, but they don't have either the mental capacity to do it, the emotional capacity to take care of it, or they don't have the wherewithal for inside inspiration to even know what it is that will be going on, So it's that part. And the other thing of it is with the contract and the contractual agreements, right? With the underground, right? Yeah, in September. Because out of nowhere, there was also right before Domestic Violence Month and what they called it, and Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they wanted to try and turn September into a month for love and stuff. But why do you have to have a month assigned to it when that's just something you should be doing anyway? It shouldn't be just this specified time. It should be natural to you. That's abusive. That's abusive as fuck. Yeah, it's one of those, oh, I didn't give you no flowers in February because I was with my side chick. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it with you in September. It's bullshit. So it's that. Yeah, and that's right before domestic violence because you would go back to the other person that you would have been cheating on. Come on now, y'all. I'm gonna need y'all to get this together. What is going on? What am I reading here? And the humanitarian scale of it being 7 years, the 7 years and the seven seeds that would be planted in regards to one coming in, one moving quickly in their inspiration. Yeah, a lot of it would be about the whole how fast can one be rejected. I'm gonna tell y'all her say what you have to. A lot of people with listening and paying attention to it, yeah, because you get some people who want to be able to just feed from you on a humanitarian scale, right? And then when you don't allow for them to do what they want to with you, right? The whole boundaries aspect. And it's thought that if you set a boundary with one person or you set a boundary with one part of you, right? That it automatically means that the other part isn't going to feel that particular energetic conflict. So is realistically, right? Yeah, in the whole priestess aspect, it's about doing what's right opposed to doing what's right overall opposed to doing what's right according to one space, right? Or one person, yourself, right? Yeah, how you gotta look outside yourself. And that's a part of the hermit walk that a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people, and the difference between becoming a hermit because you were betrayed versus becoming a hermit because yeah, you been isolated and it was through your own situations that you would have gotten isolated. And last but not least, it would be, excuse me, what it is that would happen within becoming a hermit because that's a part of what you're supposed to do. Yeah, to show people the way, show people a way out. Yeah, but you can't continue. And when you out of, yeah, when one is out of their priestess essence, then how they would go into the hermit portion and the different secrets it is that will be revealed in the spiritual contract so that one wouldn't have this massive major upheaval. And yeah, yeah, and the whole fuck boy, fuck girl status and all this other stuff. And when you find out on a humanitarian scale that you would have invested in a whole bunch of fuck boys and fuck girls. So you gotta, yeah, you will have to rethink and reshape how it is that will come into place. Okay, I'm gonna pull, go ahead, those cards out. Yeah, what's coming to me is music, soul child, love, and it's the particular line. So many people use the name in vain, right? Yeah, it's one of those. If you love a person, you got to show them that you love them, right? And showing them in a way that they can understand, like at all times. That's why it's important for you to know your love language cycle, opposed to knowing, yeah, because you got to know what starts it. For some people, what starts it is giving them gifts. For other people, what starts them is saying something positive. For other people, what starts it is acts of service. For other people, what starts it is quality time. For other people, still, what starts it is physical touch. Not everybody goes through all of those different cycles, right? And even within going in all those cycles, not every situation requires for that cycle to come into place. Yeah, and sure, if you're not on a romantic aspect, because if we're going to be talking about in the mind and the chambers of the heart, right? Yeah, not everybody has a need or has to touch you. Shit, that's what it boils down to. Not everybody got to touch you, and you don't have to touch everybody. And a lot of times people will touch you just to draw essence from you. All right, so let's get these last messages. What it is to be of high honor within the stability and practicality of how it is one shifts the concerns of despair with having or being a lover. Yeah, what it is to, having to approve. Yeah, it's not about having to approve a person. Yeah, within the knowing more of one being of high honor, it's just a matter of, this must be about that fucking email I sent. It is. Okay, yeah, no. At the end of the day, if you want a lot of unfinished business, a lot of open cycles, because that's something that happens a lot, that why people would get a lot of issues that'll come up during Mercury retrograde, because they won't pay attention to the fact that they never would have closed out the cycle. They never would have realistically taken care of business or handled what needed to be handled when it was right there in their face. One of the things that was coming up to me was when I did go to an event during February, and it was one of those, I talked to the person, but I paid you. I paid them. Yeah, and sure, if you always helping a person, but they don't reciprocate back, that be the biggest problem that come into place. I heard what you mean. I performed at a lot of those different events, but Annika Denaya, she got credit for it. She wasn't there, she didn't do it. It wasn't her picture. I said something about it then, but because everybody felt like, oh, okay, fuck this, that's just what it is that happened. Now, within the looking inside myself at that time, it just made me really understand, okay, you have to know who's for you, and you have to be okay with them not being for you, but you also pick up on the behavior that you as an individual have that made them feel welcome to even do that to or with you. Then you correct the behavior, and as you correct your own behavior, it adjusts what it is that will go on and how you even evaluate yourself. I hope that helped. So it's that part. The other portion of it is within the whole doing of what it is that one would feel, right, as a lover of high honor, right? Yeah, and in short, it's how a person would wish that you would have a fucked up relationship just so you have to come back, and how you have to prove right off the bat to it, to all of the naysayers or whatever, what have you, that A, it's really not their business, and B, if you know what you're talking about, you just know what you're talking about. If they don't, they don't. In short, it's the process that comes into place with having boundaries, affirming your boundaries, and ensuring that when you would manifest something, whether it be during Mercury retrograde, or if you're collecting or gathering your manifestations during Mercury retrograde. In short, so there's that. I'm hoping that helps you guys out just a little bit. I am, because it's the fact that a person would be of high honor. No, because it's always at home, but you can afford it. It's one of those, why the fuck is you watching what I'm doing and what I can and can't afford when you don't have the responsibilities it is that I have? Or when a person would have had those responsibilities, they would have neglected them for whatever reason. So you can't really, say what should and shouldn't go on in that regard. And then within the whole hangman aspect, within the whole hangman, the reality and the delusions that will come into place. Yeah, a person being in despair, that's is because they're delusional, and because they wouldn't have allowed for themselves to come out of that cocoon mode. How a person just wants to stay in the cocoon aspect is another thing. The other portion of it is within the secrets of, yeah, how one wouldn't have been, okay, I'm hearing wouldn't have been a divine feminine, okay, and there would have been the delusion of one not being divine feminine and there being the protection and it not being this massive upheaval in regards to a paycheck. That's that part. The other portion of it is going to be what it is that goes on in the underground and how the underground would protect one's inheritance. Okay, so in the other portion, theft. Yeah, that do kind of constitute as theft in that regard. The difference between theft and, if I'm saying, that means it'll probably be somebody. It'll be about the whole, yeah, the whole naming aspect. There'll be so many different names that come out like in regards to that. So while you're watching this, yeah, you look up the name and what it means. I typically don't call out names because I ain't got time for people to try me in real life. I know it's not a lot of readers that go through what I go through in real life. So, you know, until things are more settled in the materialization of things, no, I don't conduct myself that way. And I won't conduct myself that way. You're not about to, yeah, and that's the other part of it with the whole one not being able to manifest or one not being a magician any longer, losing their gifts, whatever, what have you. That's because what you're desiring or what is desired is for there to be some sort of abuse to come into place, whether it be rape, spiritual, emotional, financial, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? So it's that part. Some of the other things it is, yeah, with the deceased relatives and passed on loved ones, right? And if you would have known that your passed on loved one or a passed on loved one would have been in the hermit or hermitess aspect, and how, yeah, how the expectation would be with the whole, counterparts, divine counterparts, right? Coming into place, it will be one side of, or yeah, like the thought process is that since they came in waves, yeah, and how everybody wants to be a divine counterpart, but nobody wants to do the actual fucking work that's associated with the divinity of that counterpart aspect. It's a business portion to it, just as much as it is a romance part to it. And that has nothing to do with, just the marriage portion and whether or not a person is being committed to an individual. It's about what the commitment is to. I don't know very many people who want to be committed to a person who doesn't treat them right and who don't know how to watch their mouth and who don't know how to watch their hands and who drink too much and who do, yeah, and who do all this other shit, right? And what codependency is and independent means, right? And sure, whether or not you're a self-starter versus somebody having to get you motivated to do it. That's the business aspect, as well as in a relationship, right? If, yeah, you need the support and things of that nature. The other part of it that comes into place with is in the different spiritual connections. Yeah, how the spiritual connections automatically activate at a particular vibration. Now, in that vibration of there being, yeah, rejection realistically can be God's protection. I think that's the thing that people don't really understand. Yeah, seeing a lot of times just because a person says no to something, right? Says no to me, for instance. Yeah, for instance, if I go to a space, right, and they don't have something that I would need, like, for, okay, today I could use this as an example and then I can get off here. I'm hoping this really anchors it for you. I knew I had needed my girdles, right, for a nice little minute. I put the word out beforehand that I needed my girdles, right? And within me doing so, I would, when they saw me again, they made sure that I had it, right? Now, on that same token, on the other hand, typically depends on who it is that's handing things out. I I can ask for another hamburger, so to speak, to bring it back to the house, right? When they tell me no, it's one of those, okay, I'm not going to argue with you about me asking you for something that I'm doing to accommodate somebody else. It just has to get figured out in another shape, form, or fashion, right? So there's that portion. The other part of it, right, that was coming to me is I remember I had did a video over on Facebook some years and years ago, before my first Facebook page had even got hacked. And I was looking to start back dating, right? Now the problem that came into place with me looking to start back dating was all there was this ideal set that wasn't addressed then, but has since been identified as toxic masculinity and even toxic femininity, right? Toxic masculinity is believing that a woman is supposed to bend over backwards for you when that's completely out of structure for what a man is supposed to do. A man is supposed to provide for the woman. And when you get a woman who's in that position, men have a tendency to claim to be emasculated. However, if you really feel emasculated, that means that you're supposed to step up with your game to whatever it is you can provide. Not all men are going to be the type of people that can go out and work in the field, but can you take care of a fucking house? What do you bring? Yeah, it be that whole what do you bring to the table aspect that comes into place. Now it's easier, right? I will say when it's just you taking care of yourself and you doing an evaluation on yourself, on your masculine and feminine essence, because it gives you a barometer of what you can gauge what your expectations will be for another person. If you expect for you to get up, go to work, make sure regardless of what's happening, yeah, the person that you're dealing with should be able to do that same shit. Especially on a romantic aspect, because having sex and being intimate and being really close like that and building that codependency, or not codependency, that interdependency in a relationship, it's very draining. It can be extremely draining. And a lot of people see it as, oh, well, this is the comfort stage or the honeymoon stage. No, it's not the honeymoon stage. That's alone. It's more so a matter of, it's not even a getting to know you stage. Because when you first, I don't know about y'all, but when I first getting to know people, I typically don't want them touching me, because I am sensitive like that. And then with me even saying that, right, you get people who feel some type of way. It's like, oh, well, you don't want nobody to touch you. It's one of those, no, I don't want nobody to touch me because I am very sensitive. And I can see not only what you go through, but I can see what your family goes through, all the way down to your lineage, as deep as you in that moment would be portraying, not as you would allow, as you would be portraying. So if you're acting like your great great grandfather in that moment, that's gonna be all the shit that I see down through to it. That's that part. Yeah, because what's coming to me is I didn't play the song, but the whole take me through that, right? And how a person wouldn't appreciate an individual being really sensitive. Yeah, because in a love and romance aspect, and even in business, because business it can and will impact whether or not an individual will even be able to be romantic with someone, especially in that whole anchored in earth essence, right? Love make the world go around, but money pay for the trip. That's that part. The other portion of it is how many people in the world it is that you will have to take care of. That's that. The other portion of it is gonna be about within understanding that business and romance, they get confused a whole lot, but the sensitivities that are associated are both very pertinent. When you get a person that tells you that you're too sensitive all the damn time, and they know you're an empath, and they know you have mediumship, and they know you have, they know you have different clairaudio, clairsentient, but they continuously berating you. Yeah, that's abuse. That's very abusive. And to even say you too sensitive, it's one of those, to get the barrier together, since for me, it's one of those, since my sensitivities bother you so much, that means I shouldn't be around you. It doesn't make sense for me to be around you. It doesn't make sense for me to help you, because you can't handle the fact of the level of sensitivity that I've been blessed with. You would call it a curse because you can't get no shit off on me. but it realistically would be a blessing to those people who would need it. So I hope that helps with some of the different things it is that will be coming in, be going on. All right. So hopefully it helps you guys out just a little bit. As a summarization, pay attention to what it is that was said and done during, not even only during Mercury retrograde, but with the different communications that would or would not have existed. Or go ahead and say what you had to. I hadn't gotten a response for conversation response, whether it be in 3D or even via text. And when I don't receive those, it's not anchored in that regard. Depending on telepathy, that's mental abuse. Just depending on just the telepathy, because it ain't no telling when that shit would have came into place. I said this before several times. Nobody ever wants to listen to me and they want to do shit the way they want to do shit. And then they get a funky ass attitude with me because I'm doing things the way that's best for me because I know everything it is I have to do. Like, period. It's not about whether or not assistance can come into place. It's about whether or not if you're going to assist a person in something or if you have an expectation, whether or not you can provide at the level that your expectation is requiring. And I noticed that's the part of the egotism and, why things wouldn't go so far because they wouldn't be able to provide at that level. Say, for instance, again, with like the whole destiny swapping and copycat stuff, because a copycat can't provide you with the answers it is that you would genuinely be looking for. They copying, they not actually doing it. They not the one who originated it or started it. It's giving that whole alpha and omega type situation. And even even when you're talking about sororities, Lord have mercy, when you're talking about sororities and fraternities and things of that nature, the founders and the different situations that would have led to them being founders and all that. And even with secret societies, and if you know the actual story that came into place with on a secret society aspect, right? Because the dude got thrown out of fucking England. If we're gonna talk about that, when we talk about it for real, the dude got thrown out of England. And within him being thrown out of the Masonic lodges in England, he came over to America and started the Illuminists and had all of the different etiquettes and things of that nature set up. Now, that is something that I knew before I actually read that book with talking about the French Revolution. I just wanted to get a different perspective on it. I have been talking about that on not only on my channel, but also on my pages for quite some time. Now, however it is that goes, that's just how that goes. But as the overall aspect of it, the expectation would be, because a person would tell someone no, that they're automatically supposed to be upset. It's like, no would just mean that it's not for you, that person to do it for you. It would be for somebody else to do it for you or to accommodate that situation. And if you're a small business owner and you don't, people, unless you got big banks, or make big money, motherfuckers, they only like to see the small business as it has gotten to that income pull in. That income pulling of like $250,000 a year. Then it's one of those on a global scale, or in varying aspects. That's why they will hold you back. There will be why motherfuckers will hold you back because they don't want you to get to that level. Not understanding what networking and all the other stuff that would come into place. The other thing is, why is that dude from that fucking where I just came from? His head, his little face is in my head so much, and stuff like that be annoying the hell out of me, y'all. I'm so serious. Primarily because he wasn't the first person that it's like him and a few other people that's kind of coming to me, and how they would say that they would be of helping and assistance, and knowing, based off of the collection of information, that there would be some good that would come into place with it, but you didn't really help. And the ideal set of, I'll help you, but I don't want to help nobody else. But if it's when you on that hermitist or hermit aspect, it's one of those, you helping me help somebody else is what actually certifies that you're actually helping. It's not just because you helped me. I hope that helps. Okay. So I'm gonna close this reading, close and seal this reading, right? And lock it in. Hopefully everybody will be okay. You get the messages it is that you would need. The main thing to pull from it would be pay attention to what it is to be a humanitarian and a philanthropist. The other thing that you want to pay attention to is what do you constitute as being a philanthropist, because the egotisms that can come into place with it is, you considering yourself a philanthropist if you do one nice thing for one other person. That's not being a humanitarian, y'all. That is not being a humanitarian. But also, it's not being a humanitarian if you continuously give everything you have to somebody else and you never have anything for yourself. That's called being a fool. So, yeah, but I'm going to close and seal this reading. Hopefully, it helps you guys out just a little bit, gave you a tad bit of an inclination as to a few different things it is that would be going on. If you like to schedule your own personal touch of clarity, you're more than welcome to do so at lightwork@gmail.com. And I'm hoping, right? I'm really, really hoping. I want to say like tomorrow sometime I can finish getting the rest of the life path readings out. Yeah, because that's the other thing. That's one of the things it would be telling me. Just to give you guys an example, what this would tell me is that I need to go ahead and do the 22. I need to do 22, 33, and I need to do, I want to say life path 6 and 7, or 7, 8, and 9 is what the message that I would get out of it from that. Okay. Yeah, and one of them would be a love reading that they would want to know about the love aspect in these coming up readings. All right, all right. I heard the old ones too. Okay, so basically, is this y'all saying y'all want a love reading and then do that? We'll see. I'll talk to the deities and see how they say it. Yeah, because if y'all doing love spells based out of what it is, a love spell that would have taken place in October during domestic violence month, and it being some one not paying attention to the messages that would have come from the ancestral awareness. You might want to look into that on within yourself. Look inside yourself. All right. So light and love to y'all. Okay. Cause see, remember, light work. It ain't light work. It is not light work. It's not light work, and that's why you have to stay like while you work